Hi, everyone. This is Betsy Wurzel, your host of Chatting with Betsy on Passionate World Talk Radio, where our mantra is to educate, enlighten, and entertain. I am so grateful and blessed to do what I do because I meet so many wonderful people, and I have a wonderful guest on today. I know that everyone has heard about affirmations. Well, my guest is he is a father of Afformations. And I have with me today Dr. Noah St.John. He is an author, a writer. He's recognized as the father of Afformations and a mental health coach to the stars. He's a keynote speaker. And I'll tell you what, folks, if you really want to know more about Dr. Noah St.John, the website is going to be in the blog, and Dr. Noah is going to give out his website. I highly suggest you go on the website and find out more about him because I could take us the whole show just talking about Dr. Noah St. John. He is the author and writer of The Seven-Figure Life, How to Leverage the 4 Focus Factors for More Wealth and Happiness. And I want to welcome Dr. Noah St. John to Chatting with Betsy. How are you, Dr. Noah?
Well, I'm great, Betsy, and it's a pleasure to be here with you today.
Oh, thank you, and it's my pleasure to have you on. Dr. Noah, I have heard of affirmations. I've written them down myself. And you are recognized as the father of Afformations. So in case my New Jersey accent people can't understand me, I will spell it Afformations. What is the difference between affirmations and Afformations, and how did you come up with that?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Well, it's so exciting to share this with your audience, Betsy, because this is something that people absolutely love and go crazy for, and the reason is very simple, because it works. It works. It's incredibly effective and incredibly simple, but really life-changing and transformational. So anyone who's ever read a self-help book knows what an affirmation is, right? In fact, you mentioned a moment ago, I'm a keynote speaker. I get to speak at conferences, events for organizations, teams, companies all around the world. And one of the things that I like to do is I like to say, okay, everybody, now we've all heard of affirmations, right? The old thing that we've been taught for decades. And I say, all right, everybody, we're going to play a little game here. And I want everybody to say an affirmation just like they taught us. And everybody say, I am rich. And everybody goes, I am rich. And you know what happens next? Everyone starts laughing. And I go, what are you laughing at? And they say, well, I'm not rich. And I say, but you just said that you were. And then they say, but I don't believe it. And now isn't that the problem with the old affirmations method, right? That's what the gurus have been teaching us for decades, right? You say these positive statements and put lots of emotion behind it and write it in the positive. And, we've all done these things. And for so many people, it just doesn't work. It's so frustrating. And that was the situation that I was in. You see, I grew up poor in a rich neighborhood. And I know that's a total cliche, but it's true. I grew up in this little town called Kennebunkport, Maine, which is one of the wealthiest communities in New England, but my family was dirt poor. And I mean that literally because we lived at the bottom of a dirt road in a drafty, unfinished house that my parents ended up losing to foreclosure when I was just 15 years old. So I hated being poor because I saw that right down the street there was great wealth and abundance. So from a very young age, I said, how the heck do I get from here to there? So I went to the library. I read every book that I could on success and self-help and all the classics, and they all said the same thing. You say these positive statements, you use these affirmations. And so I did what the book said. The only problem was it didn't work. And so by the age of 25, I was so depressed and frustrated that I decided to commit suicide. I'd actually decided to take my own life because I was so depressed and frustrated. Now, at the very last moment, my life was spared. Yeah, but now I didn't know why at the time, but I went on a journey to find what is my purpose on the earth. I read every book out there on personal growth and spiritual growth. And so in 1997, this is when I had the epiphany that changed my life. When I realized that, okay, all of these books are saying the same thing, right? I use the statement and it's very positive and blah, blah, blah. We've heard it a million times. I said, okay, so What aren't they telling us? What is missing here? What is nobody talking about? And I realized that the human mind, so what we're talking about is we're talking about beliefs, right? If you want to change your life, well, one of the things you have to do is change your beliefs, right? And I knew that was true from all the reading and studying that I've been doing for many, many years. And so I said, okay, but what is a belief? Well, a belief is just a thought. And then I said, okay, well, what is thought? And the more that I thought about that, I realized that human thought is the process of asking and searching for answers to questions, not statements, but questions. In fact, I can prove it to you. And this is another thing I like to do as a keynote speaker, I have my audiences play this game. I said, okay, now I'm going to ask you a question. I want you to see what happens. Why is the sky blue? Why is the sky blue? Now, Betsy, I'll ask you since we're playing this game here. Normally I ask my audience members, but since we're playing, what just happened in your mind when I asked you the question, why is the sky blue?
I thought of the sky.
That's
and
right.
that God made it.
That's
God
right.
made it
but what happened? Right. But what really happened in your brain in just that very split second, your brain started to search for the answer to the question.
Right.
In fact, you couldn't not do that. As soon as you ask a question, your mind automatically searches for the answer. It's like doing a computer search, right? If you've ever looked for a file on your computer, right, you're doing a find, and it's like, find me this file. Or you're doing a Google search. Find me all of, the Chinese restaurants in Toms River, New Jersey, or whatever your search is, right? You're asking a question. Well, guess what? Your brain is like a computer. Your brain is like Google. It's an infinite search engine. And so I said, well, wait a second. Wait a minute. So what we're doing is we're saying these statements that we don't believe, right? I'm happy, I'm rich, I'm successful. And the reality was, no, I'm not. I'm broke, unhappy, and miserable. So I said, wait a second. What if instead of saying these statements that we don't believe, what if we just cut out the middleman and go right to the question? And I said, well, what would that look like? Well, let's see. You got the statement or affirmation, I am rich. And your brain goes, yeah, right. So then I said, well, what would the question be? And then I said, why am I so rich? Why am I so rich? Now, when you ask that question, what immediately happens in your brain? You start to search for the answer, right? Go ahead.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Well, asking why am I so rich? I'm not in material things, but I feel like I'm richly blessed in other areas. But
exactly.
As far as money, no.
Right. But see, notice your brain automatically started to search for the answer. Now, what I'm teaching and what I've been, teaching my clients and my coaching students, whether one-on-one coaching or group coaching or keynote speaking for over 25 years now, is the law of sowing and reaping. As you sow, so shall you reap. Now, this is an ancient law. It's been taught for centuries. And yet, what are we sowing? We're sowing seeds of thought. And yet, what are most people doing? Sowing lousy thought seeds. Why am I so stupid? Why am I so fat? Why can't I lose weight? Why isn't my business growing? Why can't I get more patients or more customers or more clients? Why is there more months left at the end of the money? And when you ask lousy questions, what do you get? You get lousy answers, right?
Yes, yeah. Oh, wow,
right.
That's a totally new perspective, Dr. Nola.
It is indeed, and that's why when I discovered it, it was April 1997, 26 years ago now, I literally said, holy cow, I think I just invented something. And so I had to give it a name, and the name that I gave it was, as you mentioned, Afformations. And again, that's spelled Afformations, Afformations. And you can go to Afformations.com and learn more about my Afformations discovery. And so since that time, I've written 21 books on this subject and other subjects. But basically, I am the father of Afformations because I invented this process, this method that no one had ever talked about, no one had ever done before in the history of self-help. And so that's why we've helped over 1 million people now over the last 26 years to literally change their lives with this one simple but incredibly powerful method. We've helped people to make more money. We've helped people to add 6, 7, and 8 figures to their business. We've helped people find love, lose weight. We've saved marriages. We help kids with their self-esteem get better grades. So Afformations is the foundation of everything that I do. I do a lot more than Afformations, but this is the thing that everybody gets so excited about and absolutely loves because, number one, it's so simple. Number two, it's so transformational. And number three, it works.
That's incredible. You know, I am truly blessed and grateful for being a talk show host because I get to meet wonderful people like you. And you said that you had thought of suicide, and you changed your life. And now you're a successful entrepreneur, and you're helping people. And this is why I love doing, you know, the show, because I want people to know there's help out there. There's people who have struggled with, you know, depression and suicidal thoughts, and they made it through the other side. And I mean, look at you. You're an inspiration for people, you know, thinking, oh, I can't, you know, you're walking like, you know, like I'm in this black hole. I can't get out. I know myself, I have, thinking of affirmations. It hasn't worked for me. I have to be honest. You know, to look in the mirror and say, you know, I am successful, beautiful, and blah, blah, blah. It doesn't really, it didn't really help me that much. So now hearing you, and I've heard you, and folks, you got to check out Dr. Noah on YouTube and his website and all the books that he has. So then I should question then what I want. Is that what it is? Like instead of saying I am rich, ask why aren't I rich? Is that
no?
Or no?
So in my and first of all, thank you. Yes, you. By the way, for the folks listening, you know, you mentioned my YouTube channel. You can go to watchnoahtv.com. That's my YouTube channel. We have over 900 training videos on there that I've been posting for many years now. Watchnoahtv.com. You can check that out. Subscribe to that channel. We have over 11,000 subscribers around the world. But so with my Afformations method, what I'm teaching, and I just want people to realize that Afformations is the foundation of everything that I teach. It is not everything that I teach, but it's the foundation. So it's kind of like people hire me as a coach, whether it's for one-on-one coaching or group coaching or to come in and speak to their team, their organization, their company, because they want a result, right? You know, they want to make more money. They want to grow their sales. They want to have more clients, more patients, you know, for those in the health profession or whatever it might be. They want to, you know, scale up their business, 6, 7, and 8 figures. And so what I teach is called a methodology, a system that I created 25 years ago called the Power Habits of Unconsciously Successful People. So that's kind of a mouthful, but it's actually very simple. So what I realized many years ago is that highly successful people are doing things unconsciously that they don't even know they're doing, number one, and therefore, number two, they can't teach you. Because if you're unconscious at something, if you don't even know you're doing it, how can you possibly teach someone else? The answer is you can't. So that's why many people say about my work that my work starts where Napoleon Hill and Stephen Covey left off. Now, Napoleon Hill is an example for, I'm sure many people listening have read the book Think and Grow Rich. It's a famous book. Stephen Covey wrote a book called 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, another famous book in self-help. So what those books and others like that are about what highly successful people did, their habits. But the difference is they knew they were doing them. These are habits that I know I'm doing, right? So where my work starts is realizing, now, wait a minute, these are highly successful people, right? But they're doing things unconsciously. that means they're doing them, but they don't even know they're doing them. And so when someone, see, we all do things unconsciously, right? When we humans are wanting to master a new habit or task, we go through 4 stages of competency. The first stage is unconscious incompetence. That means you don't know you don't know. The second stage is conscious incompetence. That means you know you don't know. The third stage is conscious competence, which is you know. And then finally, unconscious competence, which is you do without thinking. So an example would be driving a car. Probably most people listening to this program right now know how to drive a car, but believe it or not, you had to go through those 4 stages that I just talked about in order to master this habit called drive a car. So the first stage is you didn't know how to drive a car. The second stage is you knew you didn't know how to drive a car. The third stage is you learned how to drive a car, right? You did it consciously, took driver's ed, whatever. And then finally today, for most people listening, you do it unconsciously. You're literally doing 27 other things, and you're absolutely not paying any attention while you're driving. You're not doing it while thinking. You're just doing it. So that's what I realized 25 years ago that highly successful people do. So my Afformations method is one of the power habits that unconsciously successful people do, and that's what I coach people on in my one-on-one and group coaching and in my keynote speeches. I actually teach what highly successful people do unconsciously that, number one, they don't know they're doing, and therefore, number 2, they can't teach you. So going back to the point of Afformations. So my Afformations method, I break it down into these 4 stages, all right? So every one of these power habits is a very step-by-step, checklist-driven approach. In other words, I give you, in my courses, in my books, the absolute step-by-step, do step 1, step 2, step 3. And why do I do this? Because that's what I wish someone would have given me 40 years ago. If I would have learned any of this a long time ago, I'd be, a billionaire by now, rather than what I am, which is not quite a billionaire, but you get my point. So anyway, my point being is that, if I would have learned this a long time ago, I would have been a lot further on. And, I probably wouldn't have decided to commit suicide also. So the point about my Afformations method is the first part of it is you have to understand what it is that you want, right? You have to really ask yourself, what do I want? Now, that sounds simple, right? Everybody says, oh, well, set your goals, right? Oh, I've heard that a million times. Okay, but do you know what you really want? And what's so funny is in my coaching, whether it's one-on-one or group coaching or keynote speeches, a lot of times people sit there and they go, I don't actually know what I really want. I'm going after all of these things, but what do I really want? So just alone, for many people, can be a very profound and very important question that they haven't really sat down and asked themselves for a while. The second part, or second phase of my Afformations method is to ask empowering questions that assume that what you want is already true. So what you're doing is you're reforming your brain. That's where the word Afformations comes from. I invented this word, and it comes from the Latin word formare, which means to form. Now, what's interesting about that is the word affirmations that we're used to, right, the one we've been taught for decades by the gurus, that word comes from the Latin word firmare, which means to make firm. Now, when I invented Afformations, by the way, it's perfectly legitimate to invent a new word, right? When you have a new technology or a new way of looking at the universe, isn't it true we often need a new word, right? Like software, computer, internet, Facebook, YouTube, these are all new words. In terms of human history, they've only been around a very, very short time, right? But now, of course, we use them every day. Well, it's a new technology that we had a new technology. We needed a new word to describe it. Well, what I invented is a new technology of the mind. So Afformations comes from the word formare, which means to form. So we're forming these new beliefs in your brain, and your brain can do this very, very quickly, much more quickly than most people think. So we're affirming, and then you're asking an empowering question like, why am I so happy? Why am I so confident? Why am I so calm? Right? And so when you ask questions like this, your brain instantly goes to work answering the question. Why am I so happy? Because what's interesting about that is when you're asking disempowering questions, which is what most people are unconsciously doing. Why am I so stupid? Why can't I do anything right? Why does nothing ever work out for me? Well, guess what? You're going to find the answer to that too. So what we're literally doing is we're reforming your brain by changing the questions that you're already asking. And then the most important step is you have to take action, right? You must take action. It is not enough to just sit there and ask questions, even though they're great questions. That's not enough. So the example I always like to give is, imagine if you wanted to get in shape, right? You want to, lose some weight or, maybe get healthier, and you say, why am I so healthy? And then what you do is you sit there on the couch and you eat junk food and you never exercise. Is that going to work? Well, no, it isn't going to work. This isn't magic, what I'm teaching. There's a lot of people out there that say, well, all you need to do is manifest, right? Just manifest. I'm like, really? What planet is that on? How does that work? No, we have to take action.
I have to laugh, Dr. Noah, because I hear that also. Manifest you're rich, manifest you're this, manifest that you're that. Go ahead. I had to laugh because there's one station, a speaker, manifest while you sleep. Cracks me up. Go ahead.
Well, that's what I mean. See, I teach on planet Earth. I'm not sure where these guys are, but, on planet Earth, we have to take action, and that's the thing. That's what holds so many people back because they're afraid to take action or, hey, let's face it, we humans don't like change, right? Who wants to change? Nobody. But yet we want change. So what's so funny and ironic about the human condition is we want change, but we don't want to change. We just want change to happen magically. And I'm like, if you can find that planet, I'll move there tomorrow because, that sounds great. I would love to have change without having to change. Nobody wants to change.
And we fear it. Right.
Exactly. And the other thing that absolutely, yes, we do. But the irony of that is that fear is the thing that's holding us back. And yet the one thing that we want, if you really think about this is another irony of human life, right? What are the things that we humans want? Well, we want more money. We want more time. We want to be happy. We want to have happy relationships, all those things that we all want, right? But what do those things represent? Well, they represent change because if I say, well, I want to make more money, then by definition, right now I don't have the money that I want, so I want something different. That means change, right? But yet, what are the things that we fear? We fear, losing money. We fear losing our health, losing our loved ones. We fear losing our life, whatever, losing the things that are important to us. So what do those things represent? Change. So the irony is the very thing we humans want is the very thing we fear. And so that's why using my Afformations method and my Power Habit system, I'm able to help people to make these changes in their lives even when they don't think they can. I'll give you a quick example from one of my clients. His name was Tim, and he is a successful business owner, and he was doing well in his life, but he realized that he was holding himself back out of fear. And so a friend of his recommended me to him. That's where I get a lot of referrals from people who hear me on a program like this, or they watch my videos and they say, oh my gosh, you've got to check out this guy, Dr. Noah. And so Tim hired me and I worked with him and we went through my process of Afformations and Power Habits. And what he did was he realized that this fear was holding him back. And he wanted to go in one direction, but he was too scared. And then I gave him these strategies, these checklists to help him actually face and overcome his fear. Well, he went right at the thing that he was afraid of, and in less than 2 years, he built a 7-figure business working from home.
Wow.
So incredible stories like that we have so many of. So it's really amazing what can happen when you face your fear and you take action.
That is so true, Dr. Noah. And I'm 65. I'm a work in progress. And I always tell people, you live and learn until you die, hopefully. And it's true. You do. I think, or maybe it's our ego. I don't know. We need to get out of our comfort zone to grow, and that we're afraid to go out of our comfort zone to grow because we fear change.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. I have to say that never in a million years that I think I would be doing a talk show.
And look at you now.
I never thought. And I started out, interviewing caregivers because I was a caregiver. I still am a caregiver. And Lillian Caldwell, who's the CEO of Passion World Talk Radio, she would send me press releases to get me out of my comfort zone. She said, Betsy, I know you could do this. And I feared it. I feared talking to these people, CEOs, and, I didn't think I was good enough, to be honest with you, to talk to people of such, I held like a high caliber. But I did get out of my comfort zone. I'm very thankful to Lillian for getting me out of my comfort zone, because I am more comfortable now talking to all different types of people. And
that's wonderful.
Yeah, and so my show grew, but it's taken that step. You're absolutely right. People want change, but they don't want to change, and you have to decide. You know what? I don't like the weight that I am, or then change. Go work out. Go to a nutritionist, a dietitian, and see what you could do about that. That's so exciting. And I have to say this. I am going to today subscribe to your channel, because I want to hear more of what you have to say. I have to tell the audience, I always research my guests, and I did hear you on a couple of interviews, and I said, wow, this guy's phenomenal. I can't wait to speak to him.
Thank you. I'm honored. Thank you.
Excuse me. You're welcome. And you wrote, 21 books. This is your newest book. What motivated you to write this book? That's what I always ask the authors, the writers. Your book, The Seven-Figure Life, How to Leverage the 4 Focus Factors for More Wealth and Happiness. And I think a lot of people out there, they want more wealth and happiness. There's so many questions about your book. So if you could start off of what motivated you, inspired you to write this book.
Well, this is what I've been teaching my clients, whether one-on-one clients or group coaching, and what I've been speaking about for over 20 years now, is really how to live what I like to call the 7-figure life. Now, you can just call it a life of wealth, happiness, fulfillment. It's not really about the number, the dollars that you're making, but let's face it, everybody here, every human wants, as you mentioned, more wealth and more happiness. So what I did, though, was I broke it down into what I call these 4 focus factors. And the reason that I did that is because so many people write to me, they see me on YouTube, they read my books, they take my course, they say, Noah, the biggest problem I'm having right now is focus. There's so many distractions, and I know what to do, but I just can't get it done, and can you help me focus? And that is one of the things that we absolutely do, and I'm very good at helping people to get that focus back in their lives so that they can really get that, what we like to call hockey stick growth, right? Hockey stick, if you picture a hockey stick, it's like going along flat for a while, and then all of a sudden, that's where, when I coach them, whether one-on-one or group coaching, and then, goes right up, like straight up through the roof. It's pretty amazing, like Tim, who I was telling you about earlier, and many others. But so the 4 focus factors that I talk about in the book are time, energy, relationships, and money. Now, when you think about those 4 focus factors, here's the example that I like to give to people. I say, listen, all right, I want you to imagine that I give you $1 million, okay? Imagine I give you $1 million, but there's just one stipulation, and that is you have no time to enjoy it at all, no time whatsoever. Does that sound like a good deal? And you're like, well, not really. No, that's not really a great deal. No. Okay, well, I'll tell you what. I'll give you $1 million, and you have to be depressed and miserable and angry all the time. Sound good? No, that doesn't sound good. Okay, I'll give you $1 million, and there's nobody to enjoy it with. You can't enjoy it with anyone else, and you have to be all by yourself, all alone, all the time. Sound good? No. What are you doing, right? None of that makes any sense, right? So when I put it that way, people really understand, wait a minute, it's not just about the money, right? It's about having the time, the energy, the relationships, and the money that we want to live that healthy, fulfilled, life that we all really want. So that's what the book is really about. I call those the 4 focus factors, and I really walk through very step-by-step how to leverage, and that's using that word very importantly, right? Leverage your time, leverage your energy, leverage your relationships, and leverage your money. Because the fact is, for everyone listening to this program, you already have the time, the energy, the relationships, and the money that you have. But here's what everybody does. They say, oh, man, I wish I had more time. I wish I had more energy. I wish I had better relationships. I wish I had more money. Well, guess what? Wishing is not a strategy, right? Hope is not a strategy. So what I do in the book and in my coaching and my programs, I give you the step-by-step, fill in the blank, plug and play checklists, resources, strategies, secrets that have helped my clients add over $2 billion in found revenues over the last 20-plus years. So that's really why I wrote the book, and that's what people get when you read The Seven-Figure Life.
Well, that sounds fascinating, Dr. Noah, because I know myself. I'm like, oh, I wish I had more time. There's not enough, time in a day. And I have to say, the older you get, the faster the time goes.
Oh,
where the day goes to, or have more energy. And, and people want to have time to maintain relationships, to have
That's right.
relationships.
That's right.
And I could see how this all intertwines. And money, everyone probably wishes they had more money. I know I do, to be honest with you. And,
Sure.
To have more time to I find it sometimes difficult to balance, really, my life between what I do and to have time for myself and have time for my family. So
That's right.
it's like a wire act almost, juggling.
Well, yes, it can be, and a lot of entrepreneurs and business professionals feel exactly the way that you just described, Betsy. It's like you remember on the those old Ed Sullivan show and stuff. You had the guy spinning all those plates, right? And he's spinning plates, right? And you're running between plates, and then crash, right? Oh man, that one's a crash. That one's it's like you're just running between plates. So that's what we don't want to do. That's what we want to avoid completely, right? So we want to stop spinning all those crazy plates. And instead, we want to install these systems. And the way that we do it is through what I call inner game and outer game systems. The inner game is everything that happens between your ears. That's the beliefs and the habits that I was talking about earlier, right? Using my Afformations method, my power habit system, right? So that's the inner game. And then we have the outer game systems, which is the offers, funnels, and traffic, all the things that you need as a business owner, a business professional. You need to have the actual ways to bring in money. So that's what I say. It's like, look, mindset is not enough. Everybody out there saying, oh, just change your mindset. I'm like, if mindset was enough, then, people would just sit there and do what I said. I'm happy, I'm rich, I'm successful, and I have a six-pack abs, Meanwhile, they're eating junk food and not exercising. It doesn't work that way. So what I teach, and one of the reasons why that, I've helped so many people make so much money but also get their lives back. I'll give you a quick example. I had one client, his name is Charles, and he actually read one of my books, and he contacted me on my website, and he said, no, I want you to coach me. He said, you are definitely the coach that I've been looking for. And I said, okay, Charles, let me ask you a question. If we don't get this in place for you, how much do you think it's going to cost you this year? And without batting an eye, he said $1 million. If we don't get this in place, I'm going to easily lose $1 million this year. So I said, I tell you what, give me 10%. Just give me 10% of that $1 million, and I will find you that $1 million in the next 12 months. So he paid me $100,000. That's 10% of $1 million. He paid me $100K to coach him one-on-one for the next year. Well, I didn't find him $1 million in the next 12 months. I found him $1.8 million in 10 months.
Wow.
And by the way, he actually sent me an email, and he said, Noah, guess what? Guess where I am? I'm on vacation with my wife. We just bought a new RV, and we're taking a 7-week vacation, driving around, the South in our new RV. And he said, not only am I making more money thanks to your strategies, but I also have more time than I've ever had in my life. So it's not only about the money. It is about the time so that we can do the things that we really want to do.
Yes, and I had to ask you this because when I saw the mental health coach to the stars, how did that come about? I got to ask Dr. Noah about that.
Yeah. Okay, so this is really fascinating because I have been teaching mental health for over 25 years. But 5 years ago, you couldn't say mental health. 5 years ago, you couldn't say mental health. If you said mental health 5 years ago, people would say you're talking about the loony bin. And it's like, oh my God, but see what happened was because of the pandemic, among other things, but it was specifically the pandemic that what happened was, and this always happens, celebrities started talking about mental health. And so once celebrities started talking about it, then it became okay for the rest of us. This is what happens every single time. And I've been teaching this for 25 years, and so finally I said, oh, thanks for showing up, guys. Thanks for catching up,
Yeah,
thanks for coming to the party. I've been here. Yes, exactly. It's like I've been here 25 years. Thanks for showing up. Thanks a lot. But really, no. Honestly, I'm actually very grateful for these celebrities that started to come out of the woodwork and start talking about mental health. No kidding. So that's why now I'm known as the mental health coach to start because I've been doing this anyway. But I really couldn't call it that because you called it that 5 years. People don't remember. But 5 years ago, it was just a taboo subject. Now it's like, yay, mental health. And now it's which is great. I'm like, thank you. It's about time you guys showed up.
Yes. Oh, Dr. I could. I'm sending you a virtual hug through the wires because it's spot on. I mean, I've been talking. I'm a huge mental health advocate, and I've been talking about mental health since I've been, even before doing this show, I would do videos in my car, and I would talk about loneliness, abandonment, people abandon people who have Alzheimer's and other diseases. And that was, before the pandemic. I'm 65, so the first time I saw a social worker about depression, because I battled depression when I was younger, it was 1974. You did not talk about it then. You did not discuss.
No, God, no.
Mental health issues. And one thing I'm grateful for the pandemic is it did bring mental health issues to the forefront, hearing public service announcements about it, and I'm like, hallelujah. I know I've always been ahead of my time, but hallelujah. It's now being, talked about, and you're right. I heard on one of my local radio stations, celebrities, it was during the pandemic, the height of it, talking about mental health and how they battled, depression and going for help. So I'm so glad that you mentioned that because it's so important for people to know. In May is Mental Health Awareness Month, although this might be heard in June, but that's okay. It's so important to take care of our own mental health. And
indeed,
excuse me, it's not a weakness. A lot of people think, oh, they're weak. No, it's a sign of strength when you realize you need help. So thank you for being a mental health advocate for all these years. Excuse me. What's your PhD in, by the way? I wanted to.
Yeah, it's in pastoral counseling psychology. For a while there, I thought I might be a minister, a pastor, a priest. I grew up Catholic. And so I thought I might go that route for a while, but God had other plans, and so I'm going in this direction now. But that's it's you got to just listen to those promptings, those inner promptings, because they I'm sure we've all had those that kind of show you where you should go, and sometimes it doesn't make any logical sense, but if you listen and take action, things really can work out better than you thought.
Yes. We all have to take action. It's I believe, my own opinion, it's a mindset and an action of what you want to do with your life, where you want to go. And, I say that I survived and thrived during caregiving because I had the mindset, but I also took action. I took care of myself. I went to see a counselor, and I'm not ashamed of that. And I want to encourage other people who are hearing this, you know what, it's okay to say, you know what, I need someone to talk to. And let me tell you, folks, if you've heard me on the show, if you follow me, I am a mental health advocate. I'm seeing a psychologist now for caregiver post-traumatic stress. It's now being recognized, Dr. Noah. It wasn't recognized a few years ago. Thankfully, it's being recognized now. It is a real thing. It is a real situation, and it's okay to say, you know what, let me go talk to someone about it. Let me get the help. And
That's right.
I'm very grateful that I am. I had always thought I was on Medicare, but I tell people, you know what, if you're senior citizen, check your local senior center. I was getting counseling for free. Excuse me, through my senior center. So I just thank you, Dr. Noah St. John, for all that you do to help people, writing your books and your YouTube channel. And, folks, all the information about Dr. Noah St. John is going to be in the blog, so please read the blog. And can you give any words of wisdom, nuggets for people out there who are struggling?
Yes, absolutely. If I want to give this one other resource, it's called breakthroughwithnoah.com, breakthroughwithnoah.com, just like it sounds. And what I did was I put together an 11-minute video training on how I help people with their inner game and outer game, help people have more time, more energy, better relationships, and more money. All that's available at breakthroughwithnoah.com. Make sure you go there, check it out. And, you know, you can see some of our incredible success stories from our clients, people who have added 6, 7, and 8 figures, but more importantly, really winning their lives back, you know, so they're not working all their time. They're not sacrificing their family life. They're not sacrificing their relationships. In fact, everything becomes more enriched when you put these inner game and outer game systems in place. So all that's at breakthroughwithnoah.com.
And how can people reach you? You have another website.
Oh, yes. My main website, noahstjohn.com. That's my name. So just you can just Google me or go to noahstjohn.com. You can see my different books and programs and coaching, one-on-one, group coaching, and also, you know, my speaking, you know, as a keynote speaker. So all that's at our main website, noahstjohn.com.
Thank you. And, folks, I was so excited to speak to Dr. Noah St. John that I forgot to say my disclaimer in the beginning, so I'll say it now. The views of the guest may not represent those of the host of the station. But thank you, Dr. Noah St. John, for coming on Chatting with Betsy, spending time with me today, and all that you do. I'm excited, folks. I'll tell you, I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to subscribe to Dr. Noah's station, YouTube station channel, because I want to hear more. And the websites are phenomenal. And where can people purchase your book? You have another website, the sevenfigurelifebook.com, and they can purchase your books there.
That's right. So sevenfigurelifebook.com, the number 7, sevenfigurelifebook.com. And because you're listening to this program, you get I will give you $300 in free bonus gifts. All you have to do is go to sevenfigurelifebook.com, order the book on Amazon, then go back to that book, back to the page, or enter your order information, and I'll send you $300 in free bonus gifts, including some more different trainings with me, and in fact, 2 of my other books for free that you can get, you know, on your laptop or on your phone. Sevenfigurelifebook.com.
Oh, thank you. Again, thank you, Dr. Noah St. John. You made my day. Actually, you did. You inspired me. You have such energy, and I just really enjoyed talking to you. Folks, all the information is going to be in the blog that Jeannie White, who's station manager, writes, and Jeannie produces the show. So I want to thank Jeannie White. She is station manager of Passion World Talk Radio. And I want to thank Lillian Caldwell, CEO of Passion World Talk Radio, that makes this all possible. And I want to thank you, the listeners. Thank you for listening. Please share the show to help others. That's what Chatting with Betsy is about, is helping people, helping you know that you are not alone. There's resources out there to help you. I share resources that I wish I knew about, especially when I was caregiving. But it's never too late. And you know what, folks? We all are works in progress. Doesn't matter your age. And if you don't already subscribe to Chatting with Betsy, I hope that you will, and to tell other people about the show so that more people can be inspired and be helped. And Chatting with Betsy is free to subscribe to on YouTube, Amazon.com, Spreaker, Spotify, iHeart, to name just a few. And that's what the show is about, helping people. That's what I care about, folks. And if you want to learn more about me, you can follow me on Facebook. My Facebook page is Betsy E, is the initial, Wurzel, W-U-R-Z-E-L. And if you're looking for a support group, if you're a caregiver, or if you're not, you probably will be one, my support group is #Kick Alzheimer's S Movement. And the funny story to that, and if you ever want to know, just email me at sloanbetsy31@gmail.com. If you want to know how I came up with that name. And I just want to thank everyone for listening. And folks, as I always say at the end of my show, in a world where you could be anything, please be kind and shine your light bright. Because if we all did that, it would be a much kinder, brighter world. And I really believe that we need that now more than ever. And thank you again for joining me today. It's a privilege. It's an honor to serve you, the audience, and just to be alive. You know, I appreciate such an appreciation for life after losing my husband, Matt. He was 66. My brother was 67. Each day is a gift, folks. Don't take it for granted. And if you are struggling, please consult with your primary care physician wherever you are in this world for your local resources. And that's all I have to say today. This is your host, Betsy Wurzel, host of Chatting with Betsy on Passionate World Talk Radio. Bye-bye now.